What lies ahead? Picture this, the leader of 1.3 billion Catholics, Pope Francis, now in his late 80s. A man beloved by many, respected by all, yet a man whose time may be drawing to a close. The question we all wonder but rarely dare to ask, what lies ahead for Pope Francis? How long will he remain on the papal throne? What might his final days look like? Could we be witnessing the twilight of one of the most transformative papacies in modern history? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll explore the future of Pope Francis. What could happen if his health deteriorates? Will he die while still holding the papal office, or could he make the unprecedented decision to step down? And of course, what happens when the time comes to elect a new pope? Let's not dance around the question everyone is thinking: how much time does Pope Francis have left? At 87 years old, Pope Francis is already defying expectations. He has survived serious health scares, including surgery to remove part of his colon in 2021. However, his advanced age and current physical limitations make it clear that his time as Pope is limited. Could his next health challenge be his last? While it's impossible to predict with certainty, some medical experts speculate that heart problems or worsening mobility could lead to a decline. Don't forget, he's already coping with chronic pain due to sciatica, and his knee issues have only added to his physical burdens. Could his eventual passing come quietly, surrounded by close aides within the Vatican? Or will it happen dramatically, possibly during one of his global trips, far from home, while still serving the world? One thing is for sure, his death would send shockwaves through the world. We'd be witnessing the end of an era. But what if the end comes not from death, but by choice? Pope Francis has already hinted that he might follow in the footsteps of his predecessor, Pope Benedict XVI, and resign if his health or mental faculties decline too much. Imagine the scene: an aging pope addressing the world, announcing that he no longer has the strength to continue leading the church. This wouldn't be entirely surprising. After all, Pope Francis has always been pragmatic. He's spoken openly about how a pope should know when it's time to step down. But if he were to resign, it would still be a momentous event, only the second papal resignation in over 600 years. The world would once again be plunged into the drama of a papal election, raising a new question: who would step up to fill his shoes? And how would the next pope navigate the enormous expectations set by Francis's legacy? Speaking of a new pope, let's take a moment to talk about what would happen when the time comes to elect the next leader of the Catholic Church. Whether Pope Francis dies or steps down, the papal conclave will gather to select his successor. But when will this happen? How soon could the world be watching for that white smoke from the Sistine Chapel again? Many speculate that a new pope could be chosen within the next few years. Francis has had an undeniably transformative impact on the Church, from his more progressive views to his emphasis on mercy and humility. But could the next pope be just as revolutionary, or might we see a return to a more conservative leadership? As Pope Francis himself once said, "The Church is a ship that sails forward, but the direction it will take after his papacy is anyone's guess." We could be facing one of the most dramatic shifts in the Church's history in the near future. Will the next pope carry Francis's reforms forward, or will they chart a new course entirely? Before we continue exploring the future of the papacy, don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment below. What do you think the future holds for Pope Francis? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Another critical scenario to consider: what happens if Pope Francis becomes seriously ill while still in office? He's already faced several health issues, and with each passing year, the risk of a sudden medical emergency grows. Imagine this: the Vatican announces that the Pope has been rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Suddenly, the entire world holds its breath, waiting for news. This could lead to an unprecedented situation where the Vatican must make swift decisions about who will temporarily lead the Church. Could we see the emergence of a temporary papal authority figure, similar to a regent, managing the Vatican's affairs while Pope Francis recovers? Or, if the situation is dire enough, could it hasten his resignation or even spark an early conclave? One thing is clear, the Vatican is likely already preparing for every possible scenario behind the scenes. The stability of the Church and its leadership is always a top priority, even in the face of personal health crises. When the day comes, whether it's through resignation or death, how will Pope Francis be remembered? His legacy will loom large, not just for the Catholic Church but for the entire world. Will he be known as the Pope of the people, the man who brought the Church closer to the marginalized? Or will he be seen as a figure who divided opinion, especially among more conservative members of the Church? One thing is certain, Francis has left an indelible mark. From his calls for environmental stewardship to his emphasis on social justice, he has redefined what it means to be the Pope in the 21st century. But as with all great leaders, how his legacy is viewed will depend heavily on what comes next, both in the Church and in the world. So, what lies ahead for Pope Francis? Whether through health struggles, a resignation, or even his passing, the future of the papacy is on the horizon. His journey, which began in 2013, has been one of immense transformation and, for many, hope. But as with all leaders, his time will one day come to an end. And when that day arrives, the world will watch with bated breath as a new chapter in the history of the Church begins. Thank you for joining us as we explore these possible futures. Let us know in the comments what you think lies ahead for Pope Francis, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth discussions about the Vatican and the Church's future.